Welcome to the Site-Specific Plan Amendment Process Education Series. Zoning Evaluation Overview. This presentation will give you an understanding of the zoning ordinance and an understanding of the review process for different types of zoning cases. The Comprehensive Plan is a document that guides community goals and aspirations with general policies and recommendations regarding the natural and built environment. The zoning ordinance is the body of regulations that defines how property in specific geographic zones can be used. Zoning ordinances specify whether zones can be used for residential or commercial purposes and may also regulate lot size, placement, bulk or density, and the height of structures. Mixed-use development zoning designations allow residential and commercial or commercial and industrial uses are also part of the zoning ordinance. Proposals to rezone property are evaluated for conformance with the comprehensive plan. Zoning regulates land uses and structures by creating distinct districts to allocate land use. Zoning is used for implementing the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. The purpose of zoning is to promote the orderly development of land, to protect the health, safety, and general welfare of citizens, to encourage the preservation of the natural environment and conservation of natural and historic resources, and to encourage positive economic development. The State Code of Virginia enables local jurisdictions to adopt and administer a zoning ordinance. The Fairfax County Zoning Ordinance is found in Chapter 112 of the County Code. The County of Fairfax has had a zoning ordinance since 1941. It is administered by the zoning administrator and applies to all land and structures in the unincorporated area of Fairfax County. The towns and cities that are incorporated in Fairfax County have their own zoning ordinances. They include Herndon, Vienna, Clifton, and the cities of Fairfax and Falls Church. The zoning ordinance includes residential, commercial, industrial, planned development, and overlay districts. This is an example of one of the county's residential zoning categories of use called the R3 district. It essentially means residential development in this zoning category can support 3 dwelling units per acre. This slide shows the minimum lot requirements. They include lot area, lot width, yard requirements, and the maximum height of a structure allowed in the R3 zone. Commercial categories also have minimum lot requirements. Additionally, they include floor area ratio, angle of bulk plane, and open space requirements. Industrial zoning categories use the same types of requirements as commercial categories. In this example, the I-4 industrial district requirements are depicted. Planned districts and mixed-use development categories have been added to the zoning ordinance to permit a greater amount of flexibility than a single-use category. They encourage innovation and creative design of both the residential and commercial uses. These regulations are designed to ensure ample and efficient use of open space. They also provide balanced developments mixing residential and commercial uses. Examples of planned districts include PDH, Planned Development Housing District, PDC, Planned Development Commercial District, PRC, Planned Residential Community District, PRM, Planned Residential Mixed Use District, and PTC, Planned Tysons Corner Urban District. Since 1978, the zoning ordinance has been amended over 450 times. Each year, amendments are proposed and the zoning ordinance is updated to reflect the changing needs and trends of the times. Some recent amendments include food trucks, craft breweries, and riding and boarding stables. Administration of the zoning ordinance casts a wide net. Not only is the staff responsible for interpreting the zoning ordinance, they are responsible for preparing rezoning cases, variances of the regulations, special permits and exceptions as they relate to the ordinance. For site plans to be approved and building permits to be issued, zoning requirements are cited and followed. The Fairfax County zoning map is a part of the zoning ordinance. Section sheets show boundaries of lots, subdivisions, rezoning approvals, and overlay districts. The map is updated as new zonings are approved. Not only are the permitted uses or uses by right described for the different zoning districts, but special permit and special exception uses are also defined. Special permit and special exception uses can have a large impact on their surroundings. They may be allowed to locate within zoning districts if appropriate and only under special controls, limitations, and regulations. By right uses in the ordinance mean no special zoning approval is required. The proposed use complies with all district regulations. This includes functional regulations such as the required site plan, building permit, and residential occupancy permits. A special permit requires a public hearing and approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals. Examples of special permit uses include extraction or excavation activities, interment uses, churches, home daycare centers, community centers, commercial recreation uses, and uses requiring special regulations. Special exceptions are subject to public hearings by the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors. They require a longer approval process than special permits and more citizen involvement. Examples of special exception uses are light and heavy public utilities and quasi-public uses such as medical care, child care, churches with schools, and private schools. Special exceptions may also include board approval of certain conditions such as waivers of required zoning ordinance provisions and increases in floor area ratio and building height. Variances are requests to vary certain requirements of the zoning ordinance due to special conditions of the property where strict enforcement of the ordinance would prohibit or unreasonably restrict the property's use. Examples of variances include request to permit construction of a structure closer to a lot line than allowed by the ordinance, request to permit subdivision of a lot resulting in new lots that do not meet minimum width requirements, and requests to increase the height of a fence. Rezoning land is one of the instruments the county uses to facilitate a change in land use. Rezoning is one of the primary means that the county uses to implement its comprehensive plan. When an applicant comes into the office with a rezoning application for staff review, many different departments, both within and outside of the county, are called on to review the proposal. The case is reviewed by many departments to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of the land for the future occupants of the property. The Fire Marshal, Health Department, and Public Works and Environmental Services are among the many departments who check the plan. All departments involved submit comments to address any issues or concerns with the proposal. Fairfax County is proud of its collaborative culture in getting to a yes to help provide professional advice to its customers. Once the rezoning application has been thoroughly reviewed and discussed, staff's reports are submitted to the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors for public hearings with analysis and recommendations for consideration. A generalized development plan is a required submission at the time of filing for a rezoning application for all districts other than a planned district. It is prepared and approved in accordance with the provisions of the zoning ordinance, section 18-203. A final development plan is a required submission following the approval of a conceptual development plan and rezoning application for most plan districts. The final development plan is prepared and approved in accordance with the provisions of the zoning ordinance, section 16-402. A plan district refers to land that is planned and/or developed as a planned development housing district, a planned development commercial district, or a planned residential community district. A proffer is a development plan and/or written condition which, when offered voluntarily by an owner and accepted by the Board of Supervisors, becomes a legally binding part of the regulations of the zoning district. Approved proffers may be modified only by an application and hearing process similar to that required for a zoning application. Effective July 1st, 2016, a proffer reform bill was approved by the state of Virginia, which changes the way the county addresses proffers. The law governing rezoning applications for residential development and mixed-use development with a residential component is more restrictive as it pertains to proffers in certain areas of the county that the law applies to. All proffers are deemed unreasonable unless they address an impact that is specifically attributable to the proposal at hand. When an applicant signs a list of proffers as part of a rezoning application, those proffers are deemed reasonable because by signing, the applicant is acknowledging the impacts of the proposed development that the proffers are addressing. There are areas of the county exempt from the reform bill and can still accept proffers when offered. These areas include revitalization areas, mass transit station areas, mixed-use development areas with a floor area ratio of 3 or above, and areas near metro rail stations. This slide shows the areas currently within Fairfax County that are exempt from the proffer reform bill and can accept proffers. Proffers can take many forms and relate to the specific property in question. They can be shown on the development plan as a use restriction, such as prohibiting drive-through uses at a particular location. They can also take the form of land dedications or reservations for right-of-way or parkland. Proffers can be offered for construction improvements, such as roads and traffic signals. Contributions to schools and affordable housing are also offered as part of a zoning case. There is a development review process for all rezoning applications, special exception uses, special permits, and variance applications filed with the county. Applications are accepted by the county when all submission requirements have been satisfied. The application is distributed to various county and state agencies and reviewed by staff. A staff coordinator is assigned to each application. A public hearing is scheduled for each submittal before the Board of Zoning Appeals or Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors as appropriate. Depending on the type of application that is filed, there are different processing times for development review. Rezoning applications have a longer processing time than other types of zoning applications. They generally take 9 months to a year on average to process. Special exceptions have a 6 to 9 month window of processing, where special permits and variances only require 4 to 6 months to process on average. As you can see, the development review process has many steps. It requires multiple reviews by staff and revisions by applicants before it proceeds to public hearing. Notifications to the public at large and the property surrounding the application are sent out before hearings of the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors. Citizens are always welcome at the public hearings to share comments and issues concerning the proposal before the Commission and the Board. Other SSPA educational series presentations include comprehensive planning, transportation planning, parks planning, public facilities, and capital improvements planning. Thank you.